Certainly, they've gotten their due from Peter Vesey because he just told you to watch out for them. But in general, when you talk about a national profile, the Indiana Pacers don't have that. They played in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, though, and they were within a win of reaching the NBA Finals, losing, as you know, to the Knicks in Game 7. This year, they're the champs of the Central, and they meet Atlanta in an opening round series starting next Thursday. Now, back in February at the All-Star Game, I had a chance to speak with the Pacers star, Reggie Miller. Roll it. What was it like in the Pacer locker room immediately after Game 7? In a sense, it had been a wonderful season, and you'd come a lot farther than some people thought you would. On the other hand, when you get that close and you have a shot...
Right. I felt more upset for players like LaSalle Thompson and Vern Fleming. Those guys had really been the heart and soul of our team, and I didn't want this to be their last shot. I think that was the pact we were making this year, to try to get back to where we were at. It was very quiet in that locker room, though.
Who do you see as the team to beat in the East?
Well, I think everyone's going to say their front runner right now is Orlando because they have the best record in the East, but people fail to realize they haven't won one playoff game yet. And you need that experience, and right now, the team with the most experience is the New York Knicks. To me, I think they're a clear-cut favorite in the East, even though they're up and down and they're a little bit older, and Orlando has the fresh legs and the youth. You need that experience, and that means so much. Reggie, the three-point line comes in. You don't like it? No, not at all.
Why not?
You're making average shooters great shooters now, and it takes away. Now they think Dan Malle is a fantastic shooter. Well, he has always been a fantastic shooter, but now, he's bigger than life because of this 22-point line. It puts more... How are you going to go down and double Shaquille O'Neal now when Nick Anderson and Dennis Scott are now... that's what we wanted to do last year in the playoffs when we went down to double, is give those guys that 23.9 shot. Now it's tough to go down and double them because out of the rotations, these guys are hitting 22-footers.
Recently, your sister, Cheryl Miller, was voted into the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Right.
She's a year older than you are.
Right.
How old were you before you could beat her one-on-one?
Wow. 8th or 9th grade. She was always so much taller and stronger than I was. So when I entered high school, that's when I started to grow. And beating her that one time, after that, it was pretty much routine. But I used to get my behind beat a lot out there on the playground.
What were those playground games like? And would guys get frustrated when they found out that she had better skills than they did and maybe get rough?
Well, when we would go to the playground, I'd tell Cheryl to wait in the bushes, and I'd see the two guys over there playing, and I'd walk up and ask them if they wanted to play 2-on-2. And they're like, sure, but, where's your other partner at? And I'd whistle, and Cheryl would run out, and they would start laughing. A girl, come on, you got to be kidding me. I'd tell them, let's play to 10 by ones, and for $10 or so. And they say, sure, fine. And, they'd get up 5-0. I'd look at Cheryl. Cheryl would look at me. We'd wink. And then next thing you know, it's 10-5. And they're getting frustrated at this, wanting to fight and so forth. And, 10-5, we're on our way to McDonald's for a Happy Meal. So, it was great growing up. But I think a lot of guys understood my frustration growing up because she used to dominate me so much. They could understand, wow, how could a woman play this great? Great female athletes have to be appreciated on their own terms. Right.
Take your sister Cheryl at her peak. Could she have played in the NBA? Could she have been the 11th or 12th person on a roster?
At her prime, before the knee surgery, when she was winning championships and winning gold medals, I would say yes. People ask me, how good was Cheryl? And I tell them like this. She could dunk like Michael, she could pass like Magic, and she could shoot like Larry. She was all three of those players wrapped in one. When you went to go see Cheryl Miller play, it was like, going to Broadway or something, going to a show, because you saw it all. Reggie Miller heading for the playoffs, and Cheryl Miller, as you know now, the women's basketball coach at her alma mater, USC, and I understand she has a connection to you.
A couple of connections. As a matter of fact, after a 105-point game in high school, she came to Philadelphia and threatened to take my job in 5 years. And it was a real story. She honored me this year in February when she got inducted into the Hall of Fame by asking me to escort her in.
Listen, if Reggie says that she could do all those things that he says, how did he beat her in the 8th and 9th grade? That's what I want to know.
What about his assessment that at her peak, if you could remove the psychological obstacles, the resentment that might get in the way, on pure basketball ability, she could have made a roster, 11th, 12th person on a roster in the NBA. Think so?
You know, I think Annie Myers was the first to try as a woman, and she hung in there with the Indiana Pacers through training camp. And there's general consensus that Cheryl might be a little bit better than Annie. Not a whole lot better, but a little bit better.
Let's turn to the Pacers' chances again in the playoffs. You think they can make it to the finals? You think either they or the Knicks will come out of the East? What has to fall into place for them?
Bob, they're so deep. I think they've got Reggie Miller and Rick Smits as the number 1, number 2 scorers. Derek McKee has to step up every night and be that third scorer. We already know that he's one of the best defensive players in the league. Dale Davis, the prototype power forward, gets no acknowledgement around the league. Antonio Davis, they're deep. They've got 8 or 9 guys, and that's what it takes to win a championship.
All right, let's turn out.